Yo, what is up, guys? Hope you guys having a great evening. This is DPS Podcast, episode 46. 46, right? Yes, definitely episode 46. Yep. And we are back once again. This is Slow Mo Backslap with my homie Gaming Forte. Say what's up, Forte.
What's up, man? You starting to take after me a little bit. Don't remember what episode we on. I understand. I don't remember every day. I don't remember at all. So
bruh, I checked the episode number 4 times today and still went live and was like, it's 46, right?
It's 46, right? Yeah, I always go to your channel. I always go to your channel to see what episode we're on.
Yeah,
sooner or later,
you didn't put the episode number in the title for last week. So I definitely was checking and I was like,
oh,
he said what in the title, man.
It's that phone while you check. Like when you,
look, man, that was
you leave the house.
Listen, man, that was a long title last week. Something had to go.
Yeah, I feel you,
something
man.
had to go.
But yeah, that other voice you hear is our special guest, and we have a industry video game developer in the house, Mr. 3-Bit. How's it going, man?
Going pretty good, man. A lot of different projects going on. But I'm glad to be here. I don't know. Am I doing my intro here? Or
absolutely. I don't. I'm not like Lord Cognito or a homie out here when it comes to introductions, but
introducing.
You are a game developer, working for I don't know if you can say which contractor now, but you have worked for like Ubisoft in the past, correct?
Yeah. So
doing a lot of great stuff.
I can go into what I do for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm a teacher at my family's art school. We teach kids how to create comic books and video games from grades 3 through 12. It's based in Atlanta. And from there, I do a bunch of just different contract work for different companies in the industry, such as like Ubisoft, Marvel, and even the city of Atlanta. Currently a digital media editor for Meta Studios. We're currently working on a documentary about the Star Trek fan film. And also we work with for this graphic novel called Fairy Quest. And from there, I just occasionally work at Pinewood Studios, where they do shoot the Marvel films. And out of all that, I love to
Pinewood Studios. Like, hey, we got to talk about this. Is there any? Can you tell us what you have worked on? Like any of this stuff that we've seen already? Have you already? Could you tell us about any of that?
I'm just around, right? So I've been on the WandaVision set. And I stole their little prop for something I was working on.
You stole a prop from WandaVision?
Yeah.
He looking at it right now.
It was hanging up on my wall. Right yeah. It was during a gala event they hold at the Pinewood. And so I needed it for something. They weren't using it. It was basically Wanda's tree in her front yard.
You stole the
really light.
A tree?
It was a fake tree, right?
It's a tree?
It looked real, but it was actually fake. It was like they stapled leaves onto it, but it looks real. But yeah, that's a thing I did. I probably have the leaves somewhere as a prop in my house somewhere.
So the things you could do with depth of field in a shot to make something look real.
I know, man. Stapled leaves on the tree. No one knows.
I'm thinking of that tree that sits in her front yard, and I'm like, I didn't know that wasn't a real tree.
Right? You don't think about that kind of stuff. You just see, there's a tree. Okay, she's got trees in her front yard. You don't know whether it's real or not. So you actually, so before you took it, you thought it was a real tree. Like it's like eventually it might die, right? It will be too big.
Did you like plant get some soil ready for it and everything, and then when you finally touched it, it's like, man, I did all that work for nothing. Tree ain't even real.
Like, it looks real, and then you pick it up, it's like super light. You're like, oh shoot, this is not real.
This thing is fiberglass.
Yeah. I think they might have like stapled real branches onto it. I'm not even sure. Crazy.
Oh man, now you about to have everybody in the comment sections and in the chat going to look at WandaVision to see this tree. That tree. Shout out to the man that had that tree still.
Right.
Yeah, man.
So
that's cool.
So tell me about your time, which you said your family family owns and runs an art studio?
Yeah, we own an art school based in Atlanta, and we partner up with different companies like Cartoon Network and Marvel. Sometimes, like we'll go to like a Cartoon Network studio and bring the students there. And we did bring them to one of the Pinewood events too, so they got to see basically Pinewood be celebrated. And because if you think about all the movies shot in Atlanta, there's a lot. There's Hunger Games. There was all the Marvel films, right? For the most part, are filmed here. Walking Dead.
I was gonna say The Walking Dead. Yeah, Georgia's very popular for. I guess it's like maybe like taxes or something that make it Georgia so popular for so many studios to film there. But yeah, I was going to say The Walking Dead because I know even when they like the show is in like Virginia, but like they never left from Georgia.
They find the most rural place in Georgia to say this is another state.
Right. It's pretty hilarious.
At least hills, we in Montana, y'all.
It's a tax credit for sure.
So your family has this art school. Like, what are the ages of the students?
It's from grades 3 through 12.
Oh, cool.
So it ranges for sure. But I also do like private lessons to like. It's crazy. I look pretty young, right? But I can. I remember I did teach at like a college, and that was really.
Yeah, I will ask you how old is your profile picture on Twitter?
I think I was like 24 there. So I'm 26 now, so it's not that.
Oh, that ain't much.
It ain't that much, but hearing you talk about this, you talking about
he was pretty old. You talking to two old guys, okay? Like we're 40 and 41
I was saying, so I taught at a college, and I was like the youngest one there, and I was.
Some of his students were older than him.
Exactly, man.
Some
of grad students probably looking at you like,
man, how did you make this happen, and what do I need to do to follow in your footsteps?
Exactly.
Yeah, they definitely thought I was a student there. They're like, why are you standing at the front?
Now got his briefcase with his hands folded at the door, like, yo, come on, find your seat.
But yeah, so about your time with your time in the video game industry, because you talk about like any of the games that you already have worked on. Like, clearly you can't talk about stuff that's like in development that may not have been officially announced yet, stuff like that. But stuff that you've worked on that has already been released or at least announced. Can you talk about any of that?
Sure. A lot of my stuff, that's I guess the most recent, a lot of the trailers and some of that stuff that you guys saw at the UB press show, that was a lot of my stuff. So I was really happy to be involved with that team. As for like other things, it was mostly like indie projects in the past that I would like help jump on. So I kind of went from doing some indie projects to a lot of my own animated films to kind of just jumping straight into different stuff with Marvel and Ubisoft. I'm like, okay, well, it's definitely a blessing though. I'm really glad to be doing it.
So all that Ubisoft Forward and all the assets they be using in all those streams, that's a lot of that stuff comes from you.
Yeah, a lot of different trailer stuff. They
so the best parts of the Ubisoft shows. Okay, got it. The best parts of the show.
I didn't want to say it, but that's kind of true.
Hey, I'll take it.
Listen, the best part. Listen, the one thing we did say when we were watching those Ubisoft Forwards, like, yo, this presentation is really good, but they ain't showing us nothing we want to see.
Yeah, I'm just like, man, where the game's at? Like, almost kind of like, and maybe I don't know if you can speak towards this or not, but it seemed to me, and I kind of put this on the ESA, the feed of the ESA. Typically we hear about or prep about E3 months and months in advance when E3 was just a normal thing. And then I recall people not even thinking E3 was going to happen this year, and then the ESA announces they're doing E3. And I was just kind of like, wait, you are? And I'm just thinking to myself, that's just going to get canceled. But then I started hearing all these publishers saying that they were going. Xbox says they're going. Ubisoft says they're going. Of course, Devolver Digital's probably already had some weirdo thing already recorded, right? And
Don't knock digital.
oh no, I love it. I
They got the
absolutely love
greatest
it.
shows ever.
That was a really good show for them.
Their shows
Their
are
show is
always great.
money every single time, and they show you some really good indie games that make you go,
Yeah.
"Oh, I gotta check this out. What is that?" Right? But like, could you speak towards like what when you heard you guys were going to do E3? Like, what was it in your mind? Like, wait a minute. So what are we
What was
doing?
the timetable?
Like,
what was the
what was your
timetable on something like
with
that?
like how quickly could you put things together and like what time period did you have to do that?
Oh man. So there were some things we did maybe months before the show. And then a lot of things were cut, right? There's a lot of things that I thought would be there, but it wasn't. And then there were some things we had to work up right up until the show. And it kind of ranged based on different things kind of coming from the higher ups of what needed to be there and basically the flow of the show and what is the release for certain games. Sometimes things weren't just ready,
Right.
Some of the footage or something would be old and you're like, okay, we need to update this because it looks a lot better now. So things like that definitely affected schedules. So I would say some of the footage we had a lot of time, and some other footage we were working kind of right up to the show. So
got you.
It definitely ranged for sure.
All right, so another question I had, because I remember we had a conversation a few weeks ago. I think I recall you talking about how you have worked with Unreal Engine 5 before, right? Yeah. So I'm actually showing like some of the demo footage from Epic in regards and it's like running off of Xbox Series X, but this is like, some of the showing like assets and how it works in Unreal Engine and Nanite and whatever else. But can you talk about like how easy it is to use Unreal Engine?
Yeah, it's amazing. And the reason why they keep showing rocks and a lot of these demonstrations, you're like, why do they keep showing the desert? Right?
I had that question because I was just like, both your demos look like they're in the same location. Like, why do they keep doing that? But yeah, that's a good, that is a good question.
Yeah, it's basically because it does show off some of the features like Lumen and Nanite a lot better, because what they're doing this time around is they are using Lumen and Nanite to essentially have how like when you play a game and you see like a really blurry object, and they're kind of doing it right now in the video actually, World Partition. You play a game.
Yeah. If you like zoom in, let's say if you're playing like a first person shooter, I actually noticed this with say Outer Worlds. I was playing Outer Worlds, and if you're playing on, I think if you play like say on an Xbox One S, it's more noticeable. But even on PC, if I zoomed in on say like the terrain outside in the world, like really really close with my gun, I could kind of see where it gets a little pixelated, but like for the most part, when you're just looking at it and you're just running around, it looks great. Yeah.
And so Nanite is basically where you can lower the amount of vertices on a static mesh. So it basically allows for dynamic levels of detail for like millions of polygons. So essentially, you're using like these movie ready assets in video games, and it kind of cuts this whole developmental process where in the past you would need to sort of create different levels of models, like it's called LODs, like level of details. And you kind of don't need to do that anymore. You can just make the highest quality version of that model and just sort of keep it there, and then let Unreal Engine sort of scale it for you. And when you zoom out in Unreal Engine 5, there's like no loss of detail. It's actually amazing. Like you can see it in the footage too. Now, sad. I do have pros to this, and I do have like one small con because I've been
Okay.
messing around with it. So it first off, the fact that the nanite exists in Unreal Engine 5, it's actually really incredible for optimization purposes. Like this means you can have like millions of freaking just like rocks and kind of like what you see in the environment. It can go off for miles and miles, and you won't have much performance drops, which is amazing. But I would say the only caveat is that it can use all of these detail for objects that aren't moving. And if that's pretty much it. Nanite kind of works for
so you're saying this is great for like kind of like you see these like right now if we're looking at the demo, there's a lot of like ruins, rocks, a lot of static objects, but the only thing that you kind of see moving is like the torn like shreds of those like that fabric kind of on the pillars and the actual character. You couldn't put this much detail in for for example something like Age of Empires, where you're gonna have like all of these like hundreds of enemies or even your allies, but just characters on the screen, and you have to kind of animate all that, have that running. I'm pretty sure that'd be massively CPU intensive. But then also, so you're saying that the kind of detail that you see in these demos isn't possible with like moving objects?
Not that I know of. So far, they could update it, and it is kind of early. But so far, nanite works for objects that aren't moving, and they keep showing like the rocks, because like it's so impressive with nanite, like the scaling of like the dynamic levels of detail. It's pretty much just like you can't even tell. You could zoom out like super far away, and there's like no loss because of how nanite works, and that is commendable. And you only could really see that with rocks or something like that. You won't really see that with like metal objects or something like, you can see it, what it's doing more clearly with rocks. That's why they keep showing rocks in their demos and stuff like that.
As you were speaking, something that I did notice when they were showing the character they have for both demos jumping over some of the fallen debris is that, how like, and we mostly notice this for say like a Sony first party game, but if a character is in like a dusty area and they jump over something and they land, there is dirt and debris and dust that like it's like a natural deformation of that around the feet. Because if you do it in real life, if I start running around in my backyard and then like I like skid to a halt, I'm going to kick up dirt out of my lawn, that kind of thing. Like I didn't notice that because you were bringing up how static the environment is, that I didn't notice there was no change in anything around her feet and around the area. So I guess there is something that maybe they can improve on upon future updates, but it just currently isn't there right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be improved upon. Like what they're doing right now with the robot too. Like they're kind of faking it. Because like he's actually a bunch of individual parts, and were really smart about how to get it to work. But for like her, like she's not being as affected by the whole nanite situation. But I think in the future, if anyone's going to figure it out, it's going to be the coalition too.
Right.
Yeah.
Now do you think, because I have this theory in regards to how a lot of people have been talking about how there's like this there isn't a bigger jump when it comes to visual fidelity from last generation to this coming generation, or they don't believe it will be. But I think the bigger jump is going to be for the games that smaller indie development studios make in their games, making that jump from where they currently are to close to of what you see from big AAA studios that have the backing of major publishers or platforms, and I think like engines like Unreal Engine 5 are going to be the biggest like draw for that. Do you see that happening?
Yeah. I think what these engines do, because this is free, right? Like,
Yes.
Unreal Engine 5 is free, and it's giving access to a lot of indie developers, and we're getting a lot like smaller teams lately, making these very ambitious looking projects, right? And that's just because our engines are getting better, our technology is getting a little bit better. And in terms of like people who say like, oh, this doesn't look next gen, I think for a while what we're gonna see is what the term next gen is. To me, right now, next gen is like 4K 60, and kind of just doing that. But later, what I think next gen is gonna be is game design features that weren't really possible on older hardware. I think the two sort of games I can think about that sort of pushes the envelope on that, despite whatever their Metacritic scores were, is the Medium and Ratchet and Clank, I guess. Even though I think some of those things are kind of possible on actually
now which features of both games do you think were of that for each of those games were specifically next gen to you?
Kind of running two basically games at once with the Medium. Like you're basically running
two instances at one time.
Yeah.
Two complete
And
worlds,
that's not really possible. So that's a game design feature, and that's not as possible on last gen hardware. I mean, it could be possible. It'll just be like 240p, you know,
and 10 frames per second.
Like 10
unplayable,
frames per second.
basically.
Yeah. So I think the term next gen to me means being able to do stuff like that that you weren't able to do before, and a lot of things that were kind of hidden, like with Tomb Raider, where they would hide load screens behind like you crawling through rocks and stuff. You don't need to do that as much with Unreal Engine. So maybe that will open up environments more, you know. Maybe that would change like their mind about certain design decisions in itself. So I when I think about the term next gen, that's what I think about. I'm like, okay, you guys have a lot of power now. What do you want to do with it? And I think with what we have in both of these consoles, it's really amazing. You also have like machine learning and the cloud, and to alleviate resources, which is amazing. Like I remember when the cloud was all like first introduced, and you had people kind of laugh at it with
they still laugh at it.
Crackdown. I know.
Still laugh at it.
They're still laughing at it with Crackdown 3 and stuff, right? But what it does is it actually makes it possible to do things like they did in Sea of Thieves, where everyone can see the same waves and is pretty much using the cloud, or what they're doing with Forza Horizon in certain cases. And I remember they were using the cloud to basically learn AI behavior, and that's going to be a thing in the future. So there's a lot, honestly, what I think next gen is, and the cloud is definitely it. It's different game design features. It's all types of stuff.
Cool. I got 3 more questions for you, and then we can we can leave you alone. So what the projects that you're currently working on, what would you say is the most next gen game design feature that you see out of those projects that you could talk about, if you can talk about it? If you can't talk about it, it's fine.
Shoot. This
And
is
you
hard.
got this trying to get this man in trouble.
I'm not trying to get him. I didn't say like you don't have to say the name. But
Listen,
matter of fact, while you're thinking it over,
listen, he can't tell you about the Division 3. He can't tell you about that.
I didn't look. I didn't
He
say.
can't tell
Look,
you
you know,
about the
like
fourth
we
year
might
of
need to talk. I mean, we could talk
Assassin's
about it.
Creed.
You know, we could talk about it after the show. But like, we're not gonna talk about it on there.
I mean,
No.
he can't
I'll
tell you
just
that
say-
Survival's coming back.
Yeah, this is hard. I'll just say that there is a game that's using the cloud to alleviate resources, sort of like
Sea
what
of Thieves.
Crackdown was supposed to do.
Oh,
Yeah,
like,
or like Sea of Thieves.
yeah. Okay, that's good.
And that's all I'll say.
Okay,
Oh,
all right.
So I do have this one question. There's one last thing. So you talked about the power of these systems that we have now. What do you think is going to be? We, as of right now, we know 4K is still all of the rage. You know, Xbox is kind of pushing more towards the performance side of it when it comes to 60 frames per second. What do you think should be the industry standard when it comes to this? Because a lot of people are still chalking saying 30 frames and 4K and, you know, ultra settings and stuff like that. Where do you think the industry should sit when it comes to just gameplay in general? What should be the focus around that?
I love 60 frames for sure. If I had to pick, I would always say have 60 and then the rest will follow. But I think the industry standard should be using the full RDNA 2 kit, and because that will actually help you out in so many other areas where in terms of optimization and resolution, certain things would definitely help out developers if they fully use what's in the kit. And I know Microsoft is slowly finishing some things off in the kit. And I think they had the super resolution. They just talked about it like maybe a month or so ago. Some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's called. I think they call it FSR now. Is what they're calling
FSR?
it now. Yeah.
Okay. Some of that stuff will help you reach 4K or machine learning. All this stuff will help you reach what you're trying to do in terms of optimization, and you can hit your target a little bit easier. But a lot of games are in different points of the pipeline, and some of them it might be a lot harder to implement. Some of them you should probably implement it now before you get too far in development. But yeah, I'm always 60 frames snob now that I have a Series X and PS5 and 60.
Were you one of those people that was singing the praise of 30 frames per second before you saw the light?
I was just like, I didn't understand why people I didn't understand the hype. I'm like, okay, 60 is nice, you know. Until I got the Series X.
Yeah, and this is what you've been doing this for how long? Like developing and, you know, making assets and stuff like that. You've been doing this for how long?
I started developing stuff since I was 16.
So
like,
and this ain't me coming down on you, because you know you my friend. We love you to death here on DPS. We love you in the Twitter community because you give us the information we need. I'm just trying to figure out how a man that develops all this stuff didn't know that 60 frames per second was like godlike status, and 30 frames should have been thrown in the bushes like Homer.
I'm sorry, but
no.
60 is that's the minimum now.
That's
sorry.
the minimum.
When I play a game at 60 frames, I'm just kind of like, you know, it's just, it's okay.
Yeah, and I like what you just said. You said you were developing games that were 30 frames. Like, what is the okay? If you just, I mean, you ain't got to name the game or anything, but what was the thought process? What was that thought process in the room where you guys were coming up with the concept? Because, you know, a lot of this is all done in the theory crafting phase. You're kind of figuring out what you want to do, how you want the game to perform and everything. And when you make that decision, you're like, well, this game gonna be 30 frames per second if we're gonna do all this. What is the thought process when it comes to the performance side of it and how they want the game to run like 60 or 30?
Well, most of it was due to my hardware. Like, I had a really bad computer back then, so I would develop games based on like my own hardware for other people. So for a while I just didn't have that's the honest truth. I just had a really crappy rig, and So my process was a lot slower back then, and
Got you.
now I have a 3090. I see the light, and I I understand now. That was the past me.
I see. If you go pay for that 30, if you go pay $3,000 for that 3090, I better get more than 60 frames per second. Oh man, that's good. That's good to know now.
I can't believe that was me.
It was all of us less than a year ago, sir.
Now,
think about that.
I did want to get the super chat that we had a little while ago from my homie Enrique. Shout out to Enrique for the $5 super chat. He said, "Smash that like button, y'all. Salute Slow Mo and Forte. Y'all listen to Enrique. Hit that like button. While you're here, you might as well, right? It ain't gonna hurt nobody. It ain't gonna hurt anyone. So go ahead and do that." 3-bit. A couple more questions for you, and then we can move on. Out of all of the game engines that you've worked with, which one did you prefer to work with the most?
So far, I am liking Unreal, how Unreal 5 and 4. However, in terms of like working with other indie devs and how easy that is, Unity actually. Unity was a lot easier and has a ton of support.
Yeah, I'm at the demo I'm showing actually is a Unity demo. It was rendered in real time in Unity, so that's pretty interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah.
And last question, and this is nothing serious. You can relax. This is like so what have you been playing lately?
Right now I'm replaying Hellblade, and that's a good time. I'm playing.
Was that kind of brought on with the announcement about the upgrade?
I had to see. Yeah, I had to see it. See it for myself. And I know that's one of the topics too, so we'll get more into that. But Hellblade. What else? Knockout City. I just beat Streets of Rage 4.
Okay,
that's a thing. Love that game, and it's kind of jumping around, honestly.
Cool. Well, we're definitely glad to have you aboard on DPS for this episode. Forte, what you been up to, man?
I just realized that it literally was like we got to make sure that 3-bit's gaming history and all his faculties are in order before we can say that welcome to the show.
Well, I mean,
we ain't even welcome to the show until we got to check your credentials and make sure you ain't like some other people.
I would not do that.
No, I know you're not gonna give you a hard time. No, man, good. I've been playing a bunch of different stuff, not just Destiny. I took a break for a couple. Well, if you want to say a break is like not playing it for 1 or 2 days, that's a break for me. But same thing that 3-bit said. I downloaded I'm about to say Halo. I wish Halo was still out. The Hellblade game, I did it on PC. I did it on my laptop. I did it on my Series X just to see the differences. I already went through it one time. I was like, well, this would be a reason for me to go ahead and get that last achievement that I'm missing because I missed one of the glyphs. I said I'll play through the game again and get that and experience the story all over again. So kind of been doing that. Still messing around with Death's Door. Still messing around with Scarlet Nexus, and those games are probably going to take me the rest. Well, at least Scarlet Nexus might take me the rest of the year because that game's not super short.
No, but, I'm about.
I heard it's faster on your second playthrough.
It is because you could do New Game Plus, where you keep your levels and your weapons, but the enemies are at the appropriate level for that point in the game. So like very early, you could really zip through like the first half of the game before the enemies even give you anything close to a challenge. So like at this point, I think I'm at 40 hours total, but I beat the game at 30. So you can see like, and right now I'm at like I'm at around phase 9, and it's like 12 phases. So
12 phases, yeah.
So you can see how quickly I was able to get through the game.
Yeah, I remember when I talked to you a couple of days ago. You said you was on your second playthrough, that you was in phase 6, and you had literally just started. You was like only 4 or 5 hours in.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that, and then just honestly just waiting for these new games to start coming out. It's at a certain point that it hasn't been a drought per se, but it's everybody's looking forward to the spicy stuff that comes out at the end of the year. Me being a huge Battlefield fan, I just can't wait for that game to come. But sometimes I think people don't take a step back and just kind of experience the little things that kind of lead up to that. Because you put so much time into these big games like Assassin's Creed and Battlefield and Call of Duty, Destiny and stuff like that, that you a lot of other stuff kind of just misses you and stuff. So I've been trying to pay a little bit more attention to that. And I've been practicing on Splitgate and on Halo because I got to beat Slow-Mo because I talk too much junk. And if I lose to Slow-Mo and I'm talking all this junk, he ain't gonna never let me hear the end of it. Oh, so I kind of been all over the place, but I ain't forgot. I'm gonna be ready for you, Slow-Mo. I'll be ready for you. I've been working on that.
You do that. You do that.
You've been practicing for far too long, sir. I gotta get caught up to you.
Okay. But we'll see. We'll definitely see. For what I've been playing, of course you see gameplay here from Warframe. I've been playing Warframe. I just kind of get back into it ever since they did the announcement that Warframe was getting crossplay and cross save, which means that I would then be able to play my my Xbox account on my PC where the game looks amazing. I mean, it doesn't look terrible on consoles.
Migration isn't a thing anymore.
No, that was always a one-time thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was a one-time thing. Now they're just allowing you to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
It hasn't come out yet, but it's on the way. And I just kind of figured, like, since it was on my mind, let me just play some Warframe and just get back into it. It's always, the gameplay is always fun to play. So I've been doing that. I've been playing Warframe. I've been playing Rogue Company since the new season for Rogue Company started. Been having fun with that. Shout out to Elder Cat and Notorious Vic and Blaze Forte. We're playing a lot with them and Rogue Company, having a lot of fun. Splitgate, finally being able to get it back into Splitgate now that the server issues have been mostly alleviated. It went from taking anywhere between 90 minutes to 2 hours to actually get into the login to now about like 5 minutes. So it's actually like, I'm sorry, I'm a married man with 3 kids. When I get time to play games, I don't have time to wait 3 hours to get into the game. Like 3 hours is the time I got to play. I can't wait that long just to log in. So now that I can actually get into the game, I can get back to it and enjoying that. But that's mostly what I've been playing. I'm almost done with Scarlet Nexus. When I finally finish Kasani's story, I'll put that game to rest and uninstall it. You guys hear that? Hear what I just said? Uninstall the game instead of letting it take up storage space when I'm done with it. Like, I know that's a very foreign concept for some people, but who needs additional storage when you just beat your games, right?
I just always have the thing like, one day I'll play this game, and then I don't.
Yeah, and if you actually finally decide to play it, guess what you can do?
Oh Lord, here we go.
Install it. It's just like, it's that simple. Just install it or move it off of like an external to your whatever,
or just go out and buy a hard drive.
Yeah, buy a hard drive, throw it on that, and then when you're ready to play it, then you can just move it from there to the
no. You buy one of those experimental drives that they're selling you for $300.
What experimental drives?
Well, Xbox has a solution.
What experimental drives are you talking about? Like, there are no experimental drives.
I know there is no experimental drives. That's just me just saying stuff.
You sound a real body right now, man. I'm just.
Well, I mean, technically, as long as this stuff's in beta, they consider it all experimental.
Well, look, I doubt anyone's PlayStation is going to brick off of using storage
listen, there's 10 million PlayStations out there, and we don't know how many of those are inside the beta. Don't say that too soon.
Well, look, stuff will brick whether you put a actual proprietary sold.
But we know what's going to happen if somebody happens to be in the beta, and you're right, Slow-Mo, anything can happen. Somebody's system can brick because they plugged in the plug into the USB port, and the system just crashed. But they go blame that SSD.
Well,
We
Oh, man. I
already
just
know.
never seen someone like beta test. Like, I guess you have the option to do it right now, but like beta test something like memory. I've never seen that.
Man,
yeah,
it's
I don't do
crazy out
that.
here.
Like when people do insider programs for their system, like on Xbox and PlayStation, I've always been like, nah, fam. That's where I kind
I
of
do it
draw
for
the
the
line.
system. I do it for Xbox. I do
I
that.
don't know because, look. I had shout out to the Iron Lords. It was on the Iron Lords podcast last Sunday with King David, and King David was talking about why he doesn't do any kind of beta or testing or anything no more, based off of what happened with him with one of his Xboxes when it came to being in the alpha program. He couldn't play Destiny anymore. Like I don't mind doing the beta for a game. I actually enjoy doing stuff like that because I enjoy helping the developer fix the bugs in their games, give them feedback on things that they can kind of avoid some of those issues before the game comes out. And this ends up being a better experience when the game releases. But when it comes to taking my system and then being a permanent like beta tester for my system with like releases that aren't like that's a stability issue. That's the OS. That's the GUI. That's like stuff that like I don't want to turn on my Xbox or my PlayStation and then it's just it don't turn on no more. And it turns out, oh sorry, there was an issue in the alpha program. No. I mean I'm not I can't play it period at that point. Like that's where I draw the line. I've always been very leery of doing I've never had a bad experience. But just looking at the fact that like I know people who I used to game with all the
be
time.
scared out here, slow mo.
Well, I'm just saying. Look, it's hey, you all talk about the beta testers for the SSD, and you beta testing your Xbox. It's just like it's the same thing, man.
It's not the same thing. I ain't got to go
Like
out and buy
I understand like a
extra.
beta for a game, but like that's messing with your potential console. I don't know.
Right.
But then again, when I think about it, the 360 kind of felt like a beta when it first came out because everyone was getting red rings.
Oh Lord!
Oh shoot! But
until they came out with that Slim and that Elite.
That's kind of true. Yeah, and I think we all got the red ring of death on the 360 at some point, right?
Did everybody do the towel? Wrap it up in a towel and put it in a oven?
No.
Did anybody do that in here?
What?
No.
That was a thing.
Yeah, that was a thing.
You wrap your towel in what?
I mean, not wrap your, not put. I didn't mean to say put it in the oven. Wrap your system up in a towel. Take a hair dryer and put the hair dryer to the towel on full blast at the highest heat setting it has. Let it sit for like 10 to 15 seconds, pointing towards the back of the system. It heats up the thermal paste and it melts it back down. And then you put it in your freezer for like 2 minutes. And your stuff would work. Now it wouldn't keep work. It would work probably for. It might be a minor fix. It might be a week. It might be 3 days. It could be a month. It could be 6 months. It's gonna happen again. But yeah, that was a thing. People did that.
Yeah. I never had that issue with me. It was when mine's got the red ring. I mean, this was well after I was aware of it, and Microsoft had come out and said, "Look, if you get this issue, let us know." Send it in. We'll either fix it and send it back to you, or we'll give you a brand new 360. And so when it happened to me, it was like maybe 2 months after they had did that statement. And so I just sent it in. They sent me a box. I didn't have to pay for anything. I said,
yeah, you didn't have to pay for the box or anything.
Yeah, I got it back in a week, and I was good to go from then forward. I know other people had got it fixed, and then they got the red ring again, but I never got it again after that first time. So I guess I was one of the lucky ones.
Same thing happened to me. I got it once and I didn't get it again.
Yeah, but I guess
once and then I traded in at GameStop.
Well, I guess we could get into the topics, and first topic here is something that I think is a bit ridiculous, but talk about it we must. This blue box abandoned saga stuff, whatever you want to call it, that's going on right now. So essentially we got Blue Box Studio, which initially did this trailer for their game. Was that earlier this year or was it last year? I can't remember, but it was they did a trailer, and let me fix this real quick. They did a trailer, and the trailer was kind of ho-hum. Nobody was really checking for it. Like, no one thought it was like anything special. Then they started tweeting out things that made the assumption that this game Abandoned was actually Silent Hill. And so there was this thought that, like it's really a ruse all along, and it's Silent Hill. Then, after that came out, and I guess there were death threats to the lead of the studio, Hassan. Forgot this guy's last name, but he came out, showed his face so that people would see who he was, and then said
that man was frightened.
He looked scared. He looked like he was looking off screen, like somebody had a gun pointed at him, kind of stuff, right? Meanwhile, they've always been talking about this app that they were going to do on the PlayStation. Always talking about like the game reveal, the official game reveal. I actually recall seeing. Do you guys know who the Chrono is? He's a YouTuber, but he's also like, he used to work for EA as a developer, and now he's building his own game engine. He has a very interesting channel where his main channel is about him developing his game engine. I forgot the name of it, but he has a second channel where he kind of takes trailers or games, and he kind of looks at it with like a fine tooth comb, and he looks at all the little details and shows what he's impressed with and what he's not impressed with. He looked at the Abandoned trailer and thought it was a lot of like stock footage of like there was nothing unique about it in Unreal Engine. Like, it was stuff that like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like stuff that you could just actually get within the engine, that you don't even have to like build or create yourself. So like 3-bit, when you said that's true, so when you look at this trailer here, you don't see anything that like shows like basically anybody who understands Unreal could just put this together, basically.
I mean, yeah, they have a lot of stock assets, and I think they even mentioned it. They're like, yeah, we did it, but we're only something about speed tree, that they decided not to use speed tree, or I can't remember, but a lot of what I'm seeing, I have some of these assets, so I know what he's talking about. It's just like some of these, I believe they're using Unity, maybe. There's the Unity store and the Unreal Asset store, and it looks like they have some of the assets from there. And I personally, I don't know, I think the whole Abandoned thing is interesting to me because for those who don't know, I also have a game called Abandoned, and it's gone through development hell because due to my lack of funding. It's resuming development at the end of this year, and it was found out that Blue Box Games was asking Jeff Keighley to reveal their trailer at one of their events. I don't know if you remember that. They DM'd Jeff Keighley like, "Hey, can we have this thing at your event?" So my belief is that they paid Sony for promotion, because we know at this point it does cost money to feature your game on their store. I think it was $25K. And then on, what was it? Like, I think it was this month or maybe June. I just looked up. So on June 22nd, all of their SEO and like image metadata was like scrubbed from their site. Not to mention like abandonthegame.com. That's my site. It can't be bought, though I did get an offer.
Did you get an offer from Blue Box?
No, I don't know who it was. But someone did offer to buy my site. But basically, the fact that I keep seeing like they use some stock pictures for some of their like promotional material and even stock assets, it leads me to believe that they aren't capable of actually making the game, but time will tell. It isn't a good sign that they keep delaying a literal trailer, not even a demo of the game but itself, but a trailer.
They keep delaying the app.
Right, like you have put like stuff like this
the
together
app
before.
Don't even come out, man.
And like, how hard is it to just do a trailer. Like, I've edited videos, but this is content that other people have made that I have like used, or my own gameplay. I kind of like mix it up, and then I give, I would say a pretty decent video, as with me talking over it when I do my videos. That's not actually making a trailer. Like, how difficult is it to just make a trailer with some of your gameplay in it, and maybe like do some cuts to your cut scenes of the game, and just make it look interesting? Like, how difficult is that? Because this has been months of us wondering what the heck is going on, and we still haven't really seen anything substantial.
A lot of what they're showing it's like environmental shots, and then like a second or two of like first person shot. It can like the gameplay mechanics can be a little bit more difficult, but the environment itself you can kind of build in a week or two, or maybe even less, depending on, I mean, they're showing like smaller areas, so maybe even less than that, depending on like how familiar you are with just level design, and it would take a lot longer if they were scanning in some of those assets or just building it from scratch. But it seems like a lot of these are Quixel assets and different bits here and there from other stores. So actually you can cut that down to a few days in terms of like what I'm saying. Yeah, based on what I'm seeing.
Okay, all right. So like that. Now let's just get down to the nitty gritty here.
Here we go.
Do either of you think this abandoned game has anything to do with Silent Hill or Metal Gear?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, oh man, I think they are using the Silent Hill name to further their business plan.
So no,
but I don't.
You think they're just basically like using it as hype to hype up their game, but it actually has nothing to do with it, or maybe a fan-made kind of thing that loosely ties into it, but almost kind of like how, even though they made it, Turtle Rock Studios, it makes Back for Blood, which is it is loosely associated with Left 4 Dead, but they can't use any of the characters from Left 4 Dead or the name, or make any like overt insinuation that this is a part of that universe. But everyone just knows it is because it's the same dev and it's the same stuff. So it's like, do you think that's what they're trying to do?
I go back and forth with it, like just based on a lot of the weird stuff that keeps coming out with the game, where it just seems very fishy. But I wouldn't put it past Kojima, because he's done stuff like this before. Like, he's made fake companies to announce games before.
He just likes to mess with people.
He does like to mess with people. I don't know. I go back and forth with it, as sometimes like, yeah, Kojima is that crazy. Then I'm just like, this seems like such a scam. This, from what I'm seeing, that I don't even know, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say no.
You say no.
I'm gonna say no.
Forte, what do you think?
Oh man, this thing is this makes no sense, bro. If it does, they did more harm than good with this promotion. If it has anything to do with the with any of those IPs, they didn't. It's like, at this point, most people, now of course, if it happens to be one of those IPs or something like that, people will be happy, people will be celebrating, they'll be like, yo, this is like crazy how this was actually done and stuff. But for a lot of people, they're like, at this point, it's like, man, I don't even care what it is. And especially if it ends up not being one of those two things, people really ain't gonna care at that point in. You know, it's just at a certain point, you know, the app got delayed, the trailer got delayed, the app was supposed to have this exclusive release on the PlayStation Store back in like early July, like middle of July and stuff, and it just kept getting pushed, and you know, new deadlines were hitting, and we all understand development when it comes to like delays and everything. It's definitely been a thing that's been happening and stuff, but in general, I just look at this like, what were they thinking? It's like, they, you know, from the first tweet, you know, you talk about all the time, you know, starts with this, ends with this, and people was like, oh, Silent Hill, and I'm like, wow, you literally put yourself in the situation. So do I think it has anything to do with this at this point? I don't, because I just don't see Sony going along with it as long as they've been going along with it at this point. And then this also brings, you know, Konami into the picture when it comes to that too. So do they really want to be involved in this whole scenario where it's like
they would have to license the game out in order for them to be able to work on it, which kind of tracks with the fact that Konami really isn't interested in actual development of their IPs any further.
IPs anymore, yeah.
But we've heard that they are willing to license it out to other studios to make those games. But real quick, before I give my opinion on this, I wanted to basically say this tweet they came out with about 4 hours ago. So the actual Blue Box Game Studios account tweeted out, "We ask everyone to calmly wait for the patch. We understand your frustration. We are 100% real." I can't stop. I'm sorry. Like the fact that the studio has to say that, like
we're real. We're a real studio with real people.
Like it reminds me of those spam emails you get from the Saudi prince in somewhere like that wants you to give them money or for something. I don't know, right? But anyway, he says we are 100% real and are working on a passionate game we believe in. This is what happened, although the word happened was misspelled. I just wanted to throw that out there because I thought that was hilarious, because that also reminds me of those fake emails too, because they always have misspellings. Anyway, we dealt with multiple engine issues that occurred last minute after we spotted a graphical glitch. For that, we wanted to do a quick update. We are almost there, as most of the testing is completed. We would like to thank you again for the patience and apologize for the inconvenience.
You know what, Slow-Mo? You know what's going to happen in a week from now? They're going to say, due to an unforeseen thing that we saw running in the background when we were running the different frame rate options, we saw that the trailer didn't perform up to spec, so we're delaying it for another 2 weeks. Calling it now.
Look,
that's gonna be the next tweet.
It's weird. They're using Unreal Engine, right?
I think so. Yes, I think they are.
I think in one of these trailers it said Unity, but I'm pretty sure they're using Unreal.
Yeah, but this is my opinion on this. If it's this difficult for you to just show your game, how do I expect you to actually deliver on a quality experience? Forget the fact that even if it has nothing to do with Metal Gear Solid or Silent Hill, just abandon the game that they probably, based off of what you said, may not even be able to use. Maybe abandon is the project name. I don't know, right? Like it's like there was Project Athea that is now Forspoken. So who knows, right? But the fact that you can't even get this right doesn't tell me or give me any confidence that you can deliver on an actual quality experience at launch.
Yeah, if you're having this much trouble with releasing a trailer, not even the game or a demo, or I guess it's supposed to be some interactive experience kind of with the controller, I think they said. Like you can watch a trailer, but it does something with the PlayStation DualSense. I'm not sure. But
I didn't even understand that when they said it.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be, it's like a real-time experience or something.
Right, you're supposed to be able to turn it on, and everybody's supposed to be, it's like going to the movie theater and everybody there experiencing the same thing at the same time. And I'm like, okay, how is this going to work?
Yeah. So my final question on this before we can move on is, how do you see this ending for Blue Box and Abandon? 3-Bit, you can go first.
Well, I'm with the boat with everyone else. I just kind of want to see what this game is. Basically reconfirm or like, because what I've seen with some of the assets, I'm just like, okay, you're using some basic assets that are in the Unreal Store. I kind of want to be proven wrong and this be like an amazing freaking game. That's kind of what I want. But I don't know. We'll see. It's just looking very sketchy is the whole thing why I'm so like antsy about it. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Slomo.
I think this game is going to be a massive failure. Regardless of what it is, it's going to fail. It's not going to live up to expectations. If it turns out
what I naturally think, but I'm just like, I want to be proven wrong. You know, maybe it won't be. That's my optimistic Sagittariusness.
I mean, if you think about it, right? A studio that can't even show you a trailer correctly or do whatever kind of app they've been working on for the past 3 or 4 months correctly is supposed to actually deliver on a quality game that's going to live up to the lofty expectations and nostalgia that people have for Silent Hill or Metal Gear Solid. Really? Like,
yeah.
I don't expect them to actually be able to be like, and maybe this is offensive, but whatever, right? That's just how I feel. I don't even think they can deliver on a quality game, period. So
yeah, I think what Neil just said is kind of what I think. He said, I think it's an indie studio desperate to get a publisher doing this marketing to show that they got eyes on them with their marketing.
Right. And real quick, shout out to Game Over Brian, who just subscribed to the channel. Appreciate you, bro. Thanks for subscribing. And shout out to the Ashen Luca with the $5 super chat. She said, my sons, side eyes and thumbs up. I guess she's talking about Forte and 3-bit. I didn't know you were one of her sons, 3-bit. That's interesting. But
yeah. Yeah, forgot to tell you. Hey, Luca.
Slomo just don't want to take you just don't want to be a part of the family no more, man.
I just don't. I don't know what y'all talking about, but Forte. I think we didn't get your opinion on how this will play out. What do you think?
It's already ended. That's how
it's already over. It's a wrap.
It's already ended, bro. Listen, this. Listen. They were a development house, a studio with a plan that they tried to execute on, and that execution had strictly failed. And Hannibal Smith is rolling in his grave saying, I love it when a plan comes together because you did not execute on that plan that you set out to do. Because let's be for real, this studio will be gone. And I hate to say it, this studio, the studio will, I hope the people find a place to go. I hope that this will not be a studio. You will not hear. I think you will not hear the word Blue Box Studio after this year.
So you I don't think it will be in 2022. The only time Blue Box would be mentioned would be a cautionary tale for like indie developers. Kind of like how parents tell their kids about the boogeyman to scare them into acting correctly. Hey, look, hey. Don't be lying in your marketing. You end up like Blue Box. Like, is that what you're saying?
Literally, that's what it's going to be. Because there's no support from any of these bigger, no publishers, not Microsoft, not Sony, anybody. None of them coming out to their defense and saying, that they're doing this and they're doing that. Nothing. So honestly, that just lets you know, like, they're out here trying to promote something. And get eyes on themselves, and they did a great job of doing that, but along the way they didn't give you anything of substance to show you what they actually have.
Like there are some people who are under this assumption that any attention is good attention. Like
not this type of attention.
Like no, like I never think that. I always kind of feel like bad attention on you or attention on you for the wrong reasons is only going to end poorly for you. If you are hyping people up, and then they did again with putting their banner of their Twitter account, like this faded out opaque image of Solid Snake, and I'm just like, what are you doing? You after what happened before with Silent Hill, you do this. Look, you gotta own it.
Slow-mo. As soon as I saw that, because IGN put up that. The day that the stream was supposed to go live, IGN put up that picture, and I looked at it, I was like, they are really going after it now. I said, that's literally a dude with an eye patch faded out in the background. And I'm sitting like, that looked like Solid Snake's 30-year-old brother or some stuff. I was like, dog, what is really going on here? And the only thing that I feel bad for, I don't even know if I feel bad for the developers at this point, because they kind of doing this to they even if you are a person that just worked on the pixels, like, even if you're the developer that worked on pixels that went across the ground of the forest that they're walking on, and that's all you ever gonna see. I feel bad for you, but I really can't at a certain point, because y'all did this to yourself.
Well, the leadership did that to them. The leadership
I
did.
feel
like the
the leadership gave you a sentence and said you shall serve this sentence at the behest of everything that we're doing, and you're gonna reap you're gonna basically take all of the fire from this. But I feel bad for the fans, because they got people extremely hyped for this. Now, I never fell into that hype, because I was looking at this, I was like, yo, this looks real spooky, and I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'll just sit back and, just let this stuff happen. But this also goes back to the fact that PlayStation up to that point had been so quiet. This had been festering in the background. So any type of news around anything like Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid, those are all really big PlayStation IPs that, well, not IPs for PlayStation, but just games that are known to be played on PlayStation platforms. They were looking for just any type of information, because Sony wasn't giving it to them at that point. And that just kind of fed into the overall fever of what was going on. And I honestly believe that Blue Box kind of fed into that just along with everything else. So, look, man, they get what they get what they go get what they're getting from this.
About like Shuhei did a tweet.
He did.
It was a very cryptic tweet. It was just And I'm just like, this is, bro, can you help us here? Can you can you not be a part of the problem and be a part of the solution here?
I'm starting to think about
explain to us what's happening, because I don't get it. Like, what's happening here right now? It's wild. I did want to three before you go. We got 2 more super chats I wanted to get to. Shout out to After His Passion for the $10 super chat. He says Blue Box is rope-a-doping the whole industry. I can't wait until they release their AAA Kojima masterpiece. Kojima has everyone pimping the big blue geniuses. Like, I think that is clearly joking on After His Passion's part. But yeah,
let me get the next one.
Okay, go ahead.
Shout out to Game Over Brian with the $5 holla. Shout out to the panel. Question for the panel: when upgrading Final Fantasy VII Remake, do trophies pop automatically? Just testing panel's gaming knowledge. They absolutely do. They absolutely do.
I saw it myself.
Yep. Shout out to Gaming with Persona. He's in the chat right now. No, listen, gaming with Persona literally has gotten people paid $5 super chats every show that this dude show. That shout out to Game Over Brian. Every show he comes to, he asks this question, and it's hilarious, bro.
Hilarious, man.
It's so hilarious.
He's gonna be saying this when like all the other parts of Final Fantasy VII Remake come out. He's still gonna be like, hey, do the achievements pop when I saw it?
That's gonna be that's like the running joke now, man. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for coming through Gaming Over Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for subbing to the channel, man. I really appreciate that. I guess we could put this to rest. Like, Blue Boxes, they are
at rest.
Yeah, they've shot themselves in the foot. I think multiple times. I think they're bleeding out from blood loss, and there's no saving the studio at this point. But let's move on.
I will say.
Oh, go ahead.
Before we go to the next topic, it does remind me of like 2 games. Atomic Heart. If you guys look at the development of that game, it's actually really sketchy.
Yeah. That trailer,
basically a fake game.
The first trailer for Atomic Heart I saw at the Xbox Bethesda showcase, I was interested. I was intrigued for what I saw. I'm like, okay, let me check this out. When I checked out, I actually saw something that like was kind of like gameplay, and I was just like, yo, what is this? I don't even know. Like, it didn't even seem like it looked like the same game, that I saw in the trailer, but it's just like nothing that I wanted to play. I was just like, well, I'm taking this off of my list of indies I'm going to be covering on the channel pretty quickly. But yeah, definitely kind of weirded out by that one.
Yeah, they if you look at some of the history of it, it was basically a fake demo when they first revealed it, and they used that to basically get investors and all that. And it ended up working. I guess the game's coming out soon. So it worked in their favor. Maybe it'll work for Abandon.
True.
And then it also reminds me of Anthem, where a lot of those developers were seeing Anthem for the first time, because the game didn't really exist.
Right.
And they had a couple, it was like 8 months or something to actually make the game. Something crazy short. But yeah, those are two games it reminds me of. But yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, can you imagine the pressure of like you work at BioWare and you're working on a game and you think it's a survival game called Beyond, and then turns out that's not what it is at all. It's a looter shooter called Anthem. And you're sitting there, you're watching this trailer like, yeah, some of this stuff looks familiar, but this looks like a cool game. And then someone tells you, yeah, that's our game.
That's our game.
What? Wait, what?
Where's those other 200 people been working at that I ain't seen in the office with me?
We gonna need about 200 people to get this done in the time period they said. Because like that game's supposed to come out next year. Our game's not ready.
Yeah.
Oh, that is our game. Okay. I guess I'm picking up a drinking habit. But now we can move on to this rumor here about GTA. And so there's a rumor, and I think this rumor came out today, that
it did
get some kind of reoccurring revenue generated off of a game that has been primarily single player and primarily a very straightforward stealth game. That's why it's not there. That's why we see a X Defiant that nobody asks for instead of a Splinter Cell that everybody wants. So it seems to be
thing and actually upgrade and remake all of these games on the fly and get people updates to their game, and they'll have brand new experiences. And guess what? It would do all over again. For people that sold it or traded it in, or for the people that were lucky enough to still have it on their system, they can get it at a cheaper price, or they could go out and rebuy the game all over again. So if I was sitting in a boardroom, I already know people would buy the game as is with just minimal. I won't say minimal because they're probably going to do some substantial stuff to it. Are they going to remake the whole game? Absolutely not right away. But in 4 years, when those next systems come out and they want to do the same thing all over again to start funding GTA 7 or whatever they're going to do, or GTA 6 and getting, everything for online ready, and they say we're going to remake those games then and give you free upgrades, or if you go out and have to buy it again, you're all set, people will do it just to get that better experience, just like they upgrade their systems every 3 to 4 years.
Yeah,
they will do it.
I just put up a poll asking the chat as well. Would you rather wait for a GTA remake for 1 through 3? So go check out that poll for everyone listening and give your opinion on that.
It should be 100%, but it won't be. It should be 100%, but it won't.
You know, it's always going to be one to be like, no, I want it now. Give me the remaster. But the 3-bit, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I would wait. Especially because it's just based on my history with the franchise. Like my first GTA game was actually San Andreas. It wasn't like the first 3. So I jumped into the franchise with San Andreas. I would love a remaster or remake of San Andreas. Like that one I would want right away. But with these I can wait for sure. With the first 3. It's just like one of those things where I want them to sort of take their time on it, and I would hope it's not tied in with like GTA 5 Online. But the more Forte talks about it, the more I'm like, okay,
that's what it's going to be.
That's probably what it's going to be. The Master Chief's sort of collection thing sounds kind of cool though. Like you put all the GTAs in like this one sort of collection, and that would be kind of cool. But yeah, I could wait.
Cool. So let's move on to this. Actually, we kind of talked about this a little bit in the intro, but Hellblade So Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice was updated, optimized for Xbox Series X and S. And to real quickly get into some of the features that they added, I believe they did add ray tracing, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so
At 30 frames per second in the enriched quality mode, they added ray tracing.
Okay, I'm trying to find. You know what? It's weird that their blog didn't actually have the breakdown. I think I did see that on Twitter at some
I
point.
had the break. Yeah, I had the breakdown right here.
Go ahead.
I'm pulling it up now because I retweeted it recently. The breakdown for it is. Oh, here it is right here. So your 4K, so you're gonna get. Oh, that's not the breakdown. Never mind, dude. I lied to you.
You want me to link it?
Link it. Oh no, here it is right here. I got it. So performance mode, no ray tracing, dynamic up to 1080p, runs at 120 frames per second. You got the resolution mode. Once again, no ray tracing, dynamic up to 4K. That's your 60 frames per second mode. You also have the enriched mode, which is ray tracing, dynamic up to 4K. It will be at 30 FPS. And then that's for the Xbox Series S. And then they have the Xbox Series S performance mode on that with no ray tracing, full HD, so 1080p at 60 frames per second. Then you got resolution, same thing, no ray tracing, dynamic up to 1440p at 30 frames per second, and the enriched mode will be full HD with ray tracing at 30 frames per second.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Well, you guys already spoke about how, because like one of my questions was going to be, are you going to play it again after this update? And both of you pretty much already admitted before that you both decided to play.
Already started.
Now,
already started.
I have not said anything about this yet. So for me, I'm not playing it again. And here's why.
Go ahead. Why?
Although when I finally played it at a higher frame rate on PC, and I enjoyed the experience, we gotta be honest about Hellblade. Hellblade's got some flaws.
It does.
The combat is very shallow, although it was decent combat, and I did like the way it looked and the way Senua fought, and I thought that the work they did in mocapping her in the combat was very well done. But it's like the same three enemies that you fight the entire time, and it wasn't a very deep experience. I'm hoping that the Hellblade 2 kind of like takes that and really builds upon it and gives us some more combat than we got in this game, and in deeper combat. I also kind of didn't like the puzzles very much. I thought they were kind of blah. The story's good. I like the story. I thought the voices were very creepy, but they worked very well for this kind of game. But
gotta play with headphones on.
Oh, absolutely! Like there's no other way to play this. You gotta play with headphones on and surround sound. But all that said, I didn't enjoy it enough to play it again. And now I know there's some people who are like one and done. I don't think one and done really speaks towards single player games, because I've played a ton of single player games multiple times, like KOTOR, Chrono Trigger, Jade Empire, the Mass Effect trilogy, Dragon Age, all the Dragon Age games. These are all single player games that I played a gazillion times. If it's a quality game and it really spoke to you, you're going to play it again. Now, for me, Hellblade was a decent game that once I finally kind of just ignored some of the shortcomings with it. Once I got past like maybe the first part where you kill the fire boss that like got that section out the way, I started to enjoy the experience a little bit more. But I didn't enjoy it enough to play through it again. It doesn't matter about the upgrades. And if I was going to play, I would much rather play it on PC with a frame. I can kind of play with the settings and have it the way I want it. Like I would want ray tracing as well as a high frame rate, and not have to pick and choose like you're going to have to do on the Xbox Series X and S. and they don't have that PC update yet. So until then, even then, I probably wouldn't choose to play through it again. But that's not like a knock against the game. It's just for me, it didn't resonate with me as it has with plenty of other people.
Yeah, good points. They were all good points. It is like not for everyone in terms of like replayability. Like it's very, it's kind of linear in some places. The combat can be repetitive, but to me, I am such a story dude. Like I could just dive into the story and kind of ignore other aspects of the game, which probably isn't the best for like reviewers or whatever, but I have a good time with it. And some of the updates that they did do, before you weren't able to jump into different chapters. Kind of had to like play it based on your last save or different save slots. Now you can, so that's kind of cool. The ray tracing for some of the like certain areas, the ray tracing is like beautiful. But then again, you're playing at that 30 frames per second. So it's like this trade-off where I don't think it's completely worth it, especially if you just want some shiny reflections in it,
Right.
which you probably won't be paying attention to if you're friggin' fighting some peeps.
Now, like there's
Mm.
different levels of ray trace. Like there's ray trace reflections, there ray trace shadows. What kind of ray tracing did they add into Hellblade? Do you, when you played it, did you notice what kind of ray tracing was implemented?
Yeah, it looked like just reflections, but the lighting, I don't know what because the ray tracing mode also is the resolution mode, so it looks really like sharp when I'm playing, at least, because they up the resolution as much as they can, because the other one is dynamic 4K with the other mode, but this one is also dynamic, but it hits it much higher resolution, so it just looks kind of sharp on my screen. But then again, you know, I don't know if it's always it's like the trade-off. I don't know if it's worth it for that 60 frames per second where it's 4K pretty much.
The 30, you gotta play 30.
It is cool to see, like just to see it, you know, what it looks like for a bit.
Yeah, I remember when I initially played it before everything 30 frames per second, and it was a great experience, but yeah, just turning it on, seeing the ray tracing option, seeing how much, like you said, how much more crisp and sharp the visuals were, especially when you're in dark areas. I got to a couple of areas, like especially you're talking about the fire boss, when you're running through that area and running through those different running in those circles and stuff, the way that the lighting kind of hits in different areas kind of really truly does stand out. But is it something I don't play at the 4K? I mean, it was good to just go in there just to see what it looks like. I particularly stick at the dynamic 4K, so the resolution mode, not the enrich mode. So I just stay at the 60 frames per second and gives me dynamic 4K. It kind of looks like it sits around 1800p. I mean, if you kind of put it like towards any other type of game and stuff, that's where it kind of looks like in between 1440p, 1800 in there.
I guess we'll get the official word on that one, like Digital Foundry.
Yeah, once Digital Foundry gets a chance to do it,
and somebody in what Candyland and
you said that's the best one.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I've been playing it. After the initial boot up of it, I will tell people though, get yourself past the intro part of the game, because you can only change the settings inside inside the main menu of the game. You can't do it in game. So if you try to like leave and go back and do it like before you get to that first, you know, after you get past like the tutorial part of the game, you have to keep redoing that part over. So get past. Yeah, so make sure you get out of the tutorial part of the game where you can like save and leave the game and start where you left off at, because if you don't do that, it's going to make you go through sifting through the water and hearing all the voices in our head. It's kind of crazy. I had to do that like 2 or 3 times before I realized like, oh, I forgot this it's only let me do this in a menu. I did try the dynamic, the performance mode at 120, and bro, if you got 120 hertz monitor, feels pretty good, bro. The combat, or TV. It feels really good. I just couldn't do it. Only reason I was able to do it because I did it on my monitor, my 27-inch monitor. So 1080p doesn't like look completely blown out on that thing. Pause. But when it comes to that 120, bro, I was like, yo, this combat feels really, really responsive. When you're playing at 120. So I love the fact that option is there for the people that can take advantage of it, but I just don't see enough people taking advantage of that because most people that are probably going to play this game are going to be playing on 4K TVs, and as much as that experience does feel way better, you're not going to trade 4K for 1080p. You'll go down to, I think you'll do the 60 frames option because it still looks really good on a 4K monitor or TV. But man, that 120 hertz, it feels phenomenal, bro, if you get a chance to play it like that.
Yeah, I tried it.
Go ahead, 3-bit. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just saying I tried it. Like normally I don't play games at 120 because my capture card like pretty much forces me not to. It does some weird stuff. But I basically unconnected it and tried it at 120, and yeah, Forte's right. It's freaking feels good.
I'm just glad that console players are getting similar options that you get with PC. Now with PC, of course, you're gonna get more options, but I'm glad that even if you get the people out here who are the cinematic gamers, they want the cinematic experience. They don't mind 30 frames per second, just as long as the game looks as pretty as it possibly can. Like that mode is available to you. Then you got the happy medium, dynamic, whatever resolution it's running at, but keeping to a 60 frames per second. Or if you just you're all about the frame rate, 120 frames per second, go all out, even though it's 1080p resolution at that frame rate, I think. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you have those options, this is that level of versatility and choice is what PC gamers have been enjoying and what they really value more than anything. And which is why some of them don't mind still staying on outdated cards, because the games that they play are still able to run the way they want them to run on those cards. And so I'm just glad that, people are getting the choice to choose how they want to play their games. And I think that's awesome. Before we close it out, I think, I wanted to do the results of the poll. So
yeah,
amazingly, it's a 50-50 split on would you wait for a GTA 1 through 3 remake. 50% of the chat says yes, and 50% of the chat says no on that. I think that's kind of shocking. And I do have another poll running right now, which is, would you go back and play Hellblade with the updates? And so far, the yeses are winning at 56%. But definitely go vote in that one too. Another question for you guys, and I can start with 3-bit on this one. So, this might go into the realm of some of these console war debates. But what do you think about this game being used in the whole charging for upgrades debate? Because it seems like people have been bringing it up in regards to on either side in regards to this game not being there's no charge for it for those who've already owned the game on last generation.
Oh, right.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think games should be upgraded for free. And I'm in that boat. Especially think about PC gamers and how they have to pay for different games at a lower cost, and then you also get the higher performance. And there's no reason why certain PlayStation games should be $70, and then you get that same game on the PC for way cheaper and even better performance. To me, that doesn't make much sense. I think you would want to encourage people who are in your ecosystem to play the best version of the game if possible. And if there's any other DLC, then yeah, you can pay for that. That makes sense to me. The whole Ghost of Tsushima situation, like paying for DLC makes sense, but basically adding in some like lip dubs and then like some performance stuff, and then you're like, hey, yeah, we're pretty much putting this in the PS5 package for $70. I don't necessarily agree with, but companies are free to do what they want at the end of the day. It just kind of sucks when you have a comparison of like Microsoft, where they are pretty much offering all their first party games for free. And they're doing it for very like competitive reasons, but also I'm hoping it's more of the industry standard going forward for different consoles, where if you already bought a game, then, and especially if you're gonna, like with Hellblade, you're going to have Hellblade 2. This update will encourage people who maybe haven't tried the first game. They're like, oh, okay, this is it got the update, so maybe when Hellblade 2 comes out, I'm gonna go ahead and try that. And since I already bought this game, I don't have to buy it again. I don't know. It just kind of sucks when you have to, when you think about like GTA 5, where you have to buy it like 10 times. It's the same game. You know, I'm just sort of sick of that whole debacle of just like paying for the same game a million times just to experience maybe a slightly higher frame rate or little bit better visuals. When PC, you're pretty much doing that, but you're going into your PC settings and just cranking it up. And that's pretty much what they're doing in a lot of cases. They are definitely optimizing it for that machine specifically. I know that, but at the same time, sometimes not. Sometimes it's kind of like you're bumping up pretty much PC settings. So that's kind of what I think about it. I think, as I'm a gamer, right, and I think as a gamer, I just want the best value where I can. I don't like buying $70 games, and I don't plan on buying a lot of $70 games. So I'm selfish in that regard, where I just want good value, and good value to me means paying for a game once and kind of just letting those upgrades fly. You know, that's pretty much what I think about it.
Okay, 3-bit question for you.
Yes.
What's your favorite game of all time?
Favorite game of all time is probably Halo.
Which one?
2, I think. I think 2.
Okay. Let's say hypothetically that 343 and Microsoft decided to do a full-blown remake of Halo 2. Like in their new slip space engine, it's got ray tracing everywhere. It's using FSR, so the frame rate's high even with the ray tracing and everything. They're adding new content, they're adding new maps. They're doing all this extra stuff to it. They're completely redoing the cutscenes. Everything is being redone. Looks amazing. But they say, you know, we did all that. It's $80. Are you gonna get it?
It's 80.
It's 80.
Hey,
$79.99.
10 higher than
Okay,
the norm?
yes.
Dang.
Are you?
Dang.
This your favorite game of all time? Are you going to get it?
Yeah, he gonna buy it.
Yeah, of course.
See,
I'll buy it.
So, now, I asked that question because in regards to you know and I'm not speaking against what you were saying at all about, you know, how you feel about $70 games, but I've said this multiple times, and I've been consistent on this, that value is subjective, and that, say for example, for me, my favorite game of all time is Chrono Trigger. If Square Enix came out and said we're doing a Chrono Trigger remake, yo, name the price.
Yeah,
I'm buying it. It's a wrap.
Because like, yes,
if
$100,
like a game
that's it. Love, heck yeah. You know, I bought a lot of special editions for all the Halos, and I would say any other game I would not. I would just wait for, like, you know, a price drop or something like that. But yeah, you're completely right. I think value can be very subjective in that case, where you're willing to shell out that money. I'm just worried about, like, I guess the essential just value of like the whole industry, where you're just you just want the best, right? If you could get a game for cheap, then why not? That would be the greatest thing. But in your case, when you're saying, let me completely upgrade Halo and do all that, and that's pretty much like going on the territory of a remake, then yeah, sure. But if it's like you are taking Hellblade and you're upping up what's already there, and you're pretty much giving people an experience of like, oh, let me up this, some of the textures, let me add ray tracing, which is kind of what a lot of these games are doing, then that's when I have a semi problem with it. But if you are pretty much just remaking your game and completely redoing things, and I understand.
Yeah.
Go ahead, charge that money.
Yeah, and it's a value thing. If you don't see the value in what they are providing and wanting more money for, then you say like that's just not it for me. You're gonna have to give me more in order to get me to spend more on that. Like I think probably a better example I could use for me would be how Aspire Studio is doing a remake of Knights of the Old Republic. So,
ooh, I did not know that.
Yes, they are. Yeah, so like that comes out. If say Disney / Lucasfilm Games tells them, man, we selling this for $70.
Yeah, and that's old enough too, though, right? So like GTA 1 through 3, different games. Like I would buy like a lot of, I would definitely buy another KOTOR and stuff like that. Like it's been a while. I think even Mass Effect, right? The new Mass Effect, the
Legendary Edition
stuff coming up. But if you are like, because I know Sony's going to do this eventually. I'm just waiting. Last of Us 2. When they
that's been confirmed. Well,
has it?
Yeah, that has. I thought you were talking about The Last of Us, because it's supposed to be another
like a remake, right?
of the first one. I thought you were talking about
was that actually confirmed? I thought it was a rumor.
It's still, I guess you could say it's still officially a rumor, but it's been stated by people who are rarely wrong about this kind of stuff. So
yeah,
it's pretty much going to happen. Just Sony's not going to say anything until they actually reveal it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're gonna do it. But like, okay, Last of Us 2. Let's say they have a PS5 director's cut. That game is still pretty dang new. And then you charge 70 people for like, maybe you add in a multiplayer, right? You add in like the multiplayer thing and like that stuff. I'm like, okay, come on. Rather than charge people like 70, just have people who have the game already make like a $10, like sure, like add $10 for multiplayer or something. I don't know. But I would rather just have it for free if possible. That's just how I look at things. But if a game is old enough, sure. But if it's a game that came out like a year ago and you're gonna charge people again for it, I don't know. That's a little weird.
Do you think Xbox could have charged for Hellblade, considering the game came out like 4 years ago and they're adding graphical features to it? Do you think they could have charged for it? Would that have been justified to you?
Hellblade was already a beautiful game. True. And see, like some of these changes, like it looks beautiful on like my screen and stuff like that. I think because they kind of did it with Mass Effect and some other titles coming out. They definitely could have, but they did not. So
Forte, what do you think, man? What do you think about Hellblade being used in these debates over charging for upgrades?
Once again, it's silly because the biggest thing is, I think you got to kind of boil it down to the conversation and the person that is having that conversation and what they actually consider a upgrade versus something that should just be something that should be a part of the package that you bought initially versus something that is being added to a game to make it a better experience in whole because of the next gen system that you have. When it comes to Hellblade, all of this stuff is graphical, stuff that is on a slider for a PC. Of course, they probably did go in there and do some touch-up stuff to some textures, especially on the Xbox version. You already stated that the PC version hasn't gotten these upgrades yet when it comes to ray tracing and stuff, so that's probably something that's going to come later on down the line. But when it comes to, for me, when it comes to resolution and frame rate, I akin that to you basically going out and buying a brand new GPU for your system, and you inherently expect higher frame rate and a better and more stable resolution. You know, most PC games don't have dynamic resolution, so you just put it at whatever resolution you can get to get the frame rate you want. But that's what you expect, to be able to run at a higher resolution, to closer to what your screen's resolution, native resolution is, and better frame rate. You get that inherently by purchasing a piece of hardware. That's what these consoles are. Consoles are a piece of hardware that gives you the ability to enjoy your games better. So anything when it comes to making your games better in resolution and frame rate, I feel like that stuff should be free, because you paid for that when you got your brand new system. Now, people like to go back to things like Ghost of Tsushima when it comes to the Iki Island update and everything, and how that's being broken down. I don't have a problem with the DualSense stuff, because I feel like that's something that they actively put into the game, and that is something they had the code to basically work with that version of the game. So them putting that behind a paywall, absolutely don't have a problem with it. My problem is you're paying $10 for something that you inherently should get for free because it's a resolution upgrade and a frame rate upgrade. But then again, you already were getting that on the base version of the game. So it really just depends on what kind of argument you want to have around that. I will tell you, in the scenario that you named earlier, one of my favorite games is Halo, and then Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Yeah. If the Legendary Edition came out, well, it did come out, but it came out in 3 packages. But if Mass Effect 2 is my favorite one, if they sold that thing separately, I'm paying $200 for it. I paid $60 for the version I got with all 3 games. I would have paid more, because I love that game that much.
EA is listening, see, we should have charged more.
They could have charged more, and they would have got us for more too. So, but the thing is, inherently, it just comes back to just what is your perceived value on what you want. Are you willing to spend this money to get this? Returnal was a game that I love. Housemarque, I love their games. I actually have Returnal now, but the day it came out, the week before it came out, I was telling people up and down, I was like, I am not paying $70 for this game, because it just wasn't a value proposition for me, because it was something that I never played from them before. So even though I love that studio, I love the things that they do, it wasn't a day one buy for me. But as soon as that thing came in my store pre-owned and I got it for like $40, I bought it and I own it. It's sitting right here. But then I went out and bought Ratchet & Clank day one. So it's different for different people and stuff. So I just feel like ultimately the Microsoft set a precedent on upgrades, and I think that's the kind of the narrative that a lot of people want to happen go forward with a bunch of different games and studios, because Xbox is kind of following the PC mantra. You know, how many times has Skyrim been upgraded for free for people that had it when it was basically JPEG status back in 2011, even on PC, to now you got ultra texture mods, and you know the special edition version of the game runs at a native 1440p versus you having to go into the config files to change it to actually run it the way you want to run it. Now that stuff natively put into the game because they gave you the ability to do that without you having to go to a modder or mod it yourself to do it. That's where Xbox is going, and PlayStation sooner or later will get there because they're doing the whole PC route too with their games. But the thing is, if they feel like they can charge you and get away with it and get more money on the back end, they're going to do that. And I wouldn't be mad if Microsoft did that, but people got to remember, this is Microsoft. Don't expect other developers to do what Microsoft is doing. They're doing this with their games. That doesn't mean that EA is going to do it with theirs. Doesn't mean Ubisoft's going to do it with theirs. You may get lucky and get a few games that do it like that. But for the most part, be prepared to pay a little bit more for these upgrades that you're going to get, or just be happy that the ones that do not charge you for those upgrades are just looking out for you because they know you're going to spend more money on games that come out in the future from them in the future.
Right. It's not just Sony and Activision and Take-Two doing this. Remember 505 Games and Remedy charging $30 for the Ultimate Edition of Control.
That was like one of the first ones that did it.
Yeah, that's like the most I've seen.
I remember that.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
And there was not a
Like,
single thing. It was essentially the PC version. It was because the PC version had all that stuff already. They essentially gave you
That's the
PC
stuff I
version.
have definitely a problem with.
Yeah.
Like, come on, that could have been a free
$30. And you still had to pay it whether you already owned the game or not. Like
with you could have had all the DLC and everything. You still had to buy it.
Yeah, like me, I had all the DLC already, and when I looked at that, I was like, oh, so this is wow. So you would still have to pay $30 even if you already own it. They don't even care. Like, yeah, that's how how they roll. But then you get like Asobo, who did a free update to A Plague's Tale: Innocence, a great game. By the way, and they did that for free. So it's going to be, regardless of the big platforms or what they choose to do, you're going to get the little publishers like 505 Games or the little developers like Asobo choosing to charge you for the additional work they had to put in to make it updated or and take advantage of the features that are available on newer hardware, whether you like it or not. And it's just going to be up to you to choose whether you feel like that's worth it to you or not. Clearly, for me,
and there are devs.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, there are devs who, like, you know how Xbox has the option with the FPS boost where they can go ahead and update the games. And there's been several periods of time where Xbox would want to update a game, and then the developers like, no, because
they want to charge you for it later.
Because they want to charge you for it, or maybe have some different remaster in the future or whatever the case is. It can be very monetary, but that's just how it is within the industry. You have different developers do different things, where like in Control's case, where it's pretty much upping the settings and they're making you pay for it again. And then you have other developers like Ninja Theory with Hellblade, where they just give it to you for free. So
go ahead, finish it up.
I was just gonna say there's no stable thing. There's no thing that is necessarily the go-to, because it's kind of a new thing in this generation, I guess. So I don't know. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, because you hit on like Hellblade and stuff, and inherently they know if we not remaster, but if we give everybody this free update, especially with it being Game Pass, it's going to put more eyes on our game. It's like not a glorified demo for part 2, because we know part 2 is going to be a lot more grander, probably a lot more bigger. It's going to look a lot better. But they know that's like a launching point for the next game. So why not give that away to your fans to get them excited for the next thing that they see from them when it comes to Hellblade? So it's like kind of a marketing thing too. But Slow-Mo brought up Asobo and the Plague's Tale. Like they gave you a free update to that, but they're making money in other places, because I think the most ingenious thing that Asobo did is, shout out to Flight Simulator being on console for the first time. Slow-Mo, have you been seeing all of these videos out here of people flying around in fighter jets inside the Flight Simulator that you paying $20 just to get the jet?
I have not. But
they out there. They out there, bro. Listen, you can fly pretty much everything in this game for free. But guess what's locked behind the paywall? If you want to fly in a fighter jet, you paying $20 to $24 for one,
and that's make all money somehow. I mean, like,
listen, they make, that's what I'm saying. But they making that. That's what I'm saying. They making money, so they can afford to give you something, because they know that new hot thing that they just put out. They gonna make that money that they, what we can charge you, what, $5, $10 for a digital upgrade for a game, or we can charge you for something that's in Game Pass that we're giving to everybody,
like $20,
$30. And guess what? We're putting out a brand new Top Gun Maverick free DLC at the end of the year that's gonna give people even more hype.
People are gonna want that,
and they gonna want that too. So that's what I'm trying to say. People, they keep thinking that, Microsoft is doing it because they're for the gamer and everything. You know, there's levels to it. They're giving away Xbox Live, not Xbox Live. They're giving Game Pass away for $1 because they want to get more people in there paying for stuff like flight sim skins for different weapons, not weapons, but jets and stuff. You know, to try out these new games for you could get hyped for the next Hellblade game when it does come out. So you could buy all of that stuff in the Battle Pass for Halo Infinite when it comes out. There's levels to it, but guess what? It still comes back to Microsoft is doing a great thing when it comes to giving their fans the appearance of we're not charging you for the stuff that you should be getting for free, because I know there's things that's going to be right around the corner that we are going to want you to buy. And since you feel like you're saving so much money in other places, you'll be willing to spend it with us when we do put those things in front of you.
Well, I wanted to do the super chat we got through from Everborn Saga. What's up, Everborn, with the $2 super chat? Appreciate that, man. He says, "Did you guys see the first person mode on the Ascent?" I thought I heard something about a first person mode, but I haven't seen it yet myself. I wonder how well the game looks beautiful. I didn't even know, but like the way it's like isometric view, I didn't know it was even possible to do a first person mode like that, like where it would like run well. I'm imagining it probably runs horribly, but maybe that's just me. But no, I haven't seen it yet. Have you guys seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. It's first time I heard of it.
Okay, well, I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Freaking better than you would think.
Well, maybe because I've been playing the PC version. When the PC version yo-yos, the frame rate yo-yos like crazy. Although, but I'm playing it at like ultra settings, and so like I'm playing it at 1440p ultra settings and 144 frames per second. So like
I'm about to say that 3070 ain't powering through, man.
Yeah, it's powering through, but there was just some optimization issues, especially on the I was playing it through Game Pass. So Game Pass PC has always got problems. So you know how it is. Appreciate that question though, Everborn. Hope you're having a good night and haven't been doing too much hating on PC recently. Shout out to you though. Wanted to end the poll here, but the poll actually had, man, I hate how you end the poll and then it takes like forever for it to pop back up. But it looks like 54% of the chat says they are going to go back and play Hellblade again. So hey, look, I'm pretty sure Ninja Theory's happy with that kind of reception, where people are going to go back and play the game. It's a Game Pass, kind of generates more excitement for Hellblade 2, all that good stuff. Of course, it got 45% of people are like me saying that they're not going to go back to it, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and move on to our last topic here, which is Xbox Gamescom event. And so Xbox have announced that they're going to be at Gamescom, which is the last week of the month, right? Yeah.
Last week of the month.
They're doing they're going to have a show August 24th. Oh, that's on a Tuesday, and it's 1 p.m. Eastern for me. So like figure out your own time zone. I know my time zone. But what do you guys think about this Gamescom event, and do you think that what do you expect to see from it? Oh, before you do that, let me do the super chat real quick. K Asante, the homie, appreciate you, man. He hits us with a $5 super chat. He says that, "Salute, gentlemen. Appreciate the real talk about Flight Sim. I did see the extra planes, but weren't those from end users, sellers, not Asobo. Cheers."
He's right. He's right. They are royalty sharing those purchases with the people that not created the planes, but did the sketching and everything for them. So he's absolutely right about that.
And I have no problem with that whatsoever, especially if like actual like consumers, gamers made those. They should benefit from the work that they put in. And
absolutely,
we see that. Like I was showing Warframe gameplay earlier. Warframe does that. Warframe has they call it fashion frame, where actual Warframe players will design skins for some of the Warframes. And honestly, some of the fashion frame skins, outdo the skins that the actual developers Digital Extremes has made. So they get a percentage. They get the vast majority of the percentage of the sales off of those. And I whenever I see a good one, I have no problem, putting money into Warframe on it, because I know it's going to somebody who really put some good work in and they had that passion for the game. So yeah, I definitely have no problem with that. What about you, 3-Bit? What do you think about that?
What about Warframe?
Oh no, about
I do
the
like
flight sim.
Warframe.
No, I'm glad you like Warframe, but no, like the flight sim. The flight sim looks like the extra planes were being made by gamers.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Because I do know that a lot of people were complaining about some of the prices on it. They're basically saying like, "Hey, why can't I get this plane?" and all that. And I don't know. I think it's cool that you have people involved in the community enough to make content for the game, and it keeps the game's lifespan alive and all that. And it does remind me of a really bad game. Some of Fallout 76's stuff, or what I know, was it Skyrim? They had some sort of store. I can't remember which. Was it Fallout 4? Or they had some sort of store. I can't remember, but essentially, I think it's kind of cool that they have developers being able to make their own planes and all that, and I think even a percentage of whatever whoever buys it, they get a percentage of just the cost, and then the Asobo gets the other half.
Yeah,
I think I read that somewhere, so that's pretty cool. But some of those planes, dang. I will say the prices are freaking high. On
you
some
should
of those
go in there and
planes.
look at it, man.
Where are the
It's like,
prices?
yo.
Yeah. I think I've seen a plane for like $35.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Well, I mean, hey,
That's pretty high.
value is if it's a plane, if it look like if it look like a Top Gun plane, and you want to be Maverick, and you're just like, man, maybe that $30.
Well,
is worth
it's not just the outside. They painstakingly go through and redo the insides of the planes and stuff too. So they got to at least hit that minimum standard of what Asobo does with the planes when they get them and they throw their little flare on top of it. So I can see on the outside like, yo, that's a lot, but then again, people out here spending $15 just to dab in Fortnite. So
that's true. well, let's get back to the Xbox Gamescom event. So I just wanted to quote a part of the blog from the Xbox News blog that talked about the event. So it says you'll get an in-depth update from some of our previously announced Xbox Game Studios titles alongside some of our third-party partners, including some of the incredible titles coming to Xbox this holiday, upcoming releases to our monthly subscription service, and Xbox Game Pass, and much more. So, Forte, what do you think we're going to see from Xbox at Gamescom?
If we don't hear about Halo and a release date at Gamescom, I don't care. What else? Nothing else.
I think that's almost a guarantee at this point.
If we don't get a release date and we don't see campaign, I don't care. Because it's getting too late at this point. That's the only thing at this point that I really truly care about. Now, third party, they kind of is up in the air because it's kind of hard to see and picture what third party relationships they have that they probably haven't shown off yet. I mean, we already know about Battlefield and stuff like that. We don't know what other stuff they really have in the works. So I think
I don't think they're going to talk about Battlefield.
They're not going to talk about that. They already talked about it. They put it on their E3 stage. They're not their E3 stream. So they're not going to really talk about that again. Could we get a little bit more shown of probably Starfield? Maybe. Who knows? Could we get? I doubt it too. But yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking
because they said. Let me go back to it. They said updates from some of our previously announced Xbox Game Studios titles.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
previously announced.
It's been too soon. Yeah, Gamescom is too close to E3. It's only a 2-month difference between the two, where if they were going to show it at Gamescom, they could have showed it. Like if they already showed us something that was at E3, they're not going to show it again at Gamescom because like at E3 they probably showed everything they could show at that point. What's the purpose of then showing you something from Starfield again 2 months later? They're not going to show gameplay.
Well, I don't know. That's one thing. That's why I think Starfield's like one of those pie in the sky things. I do think it depends on how much they're willing to show for the first party. Like, how did they say how long the event is?
No. They just said they just said the date, time, and who's hosting it. Paris and Kate
Paris
Yeager
is hosting it.
Now,
Kate Yeager is really cool. I like her a lot.
I do think that basically we're going to see games that have already been announced, but they didn't show up at E3. So if you break that down, that's like Fable.
Do you think Initiative, Fable?
There's a couple of them.
They haven't shown off Avowed since last year.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff they could
Hellblade
show.
2.
Hellblade 2. A lot of people were thinking that was going to be at E3, and they decided not to show up at E3.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things. Like I said, it really just depends on how much time they have, honestly, and how much of that's going to be dedicated to Game Pass. I mean, technically anything that they show could be dedicated to Game Pass because all of their first party games are going to go into Game Pass. So that really doesn't impact the Game Pass segment, but how much of it's going to be dedicated to third party, especially since they already show. I think they're going to show Halo. They have to. They got to show that campaign, and they got to give a release date.
I don't think they're going to show the campaign.
They got to show that campaign, bro. They can't let that campaign just be sitting out there in the wilderness looking for food. They can't do that. What? They got to show it.
Yeah.
Man, right now that campaign out there in the wilderness looking for food is out there like it's like a fox looking for a squirrel.
I think with the leaks, which I haven't seen yet, and I hope I never do.
I haven't seen them yet either.
But I think with the leaks that already happened, I don't think they want to show anything else for campaign.
They got to. They got to, bro. They can't let that be a thing going past past August.
They have. I'm not saying I've seen enough.
Call of Duty is done.
But
Call of Duty also ain't bring out. We ain't gonna talk about it.
I think the reason why they didn't give us a release date at E3 is because they wanted to know what Call of Duty is, where Call of Duty is launching at first. So,
the release date is different. Like, can they go longer without giving a release date because they want to wait for Call of Duty?
No,
yeah,
I don't think they should go past Gamescom at this point.
I don't think they are either.
I think that's the breaking point. Like they said, we'll wait until Gamescom. If they do an announcement before then we'll announce the Halo release date before then. But if they don't announce, if Activision doesn't announce Call of Duty by Gamescom, then we're just going to go ahead and do the release date that we wanted to do.
So you're good with no more Halo Infinite single player?
I'm not saying I'm good with it. I'm saying I think that's
okay. Well, I mean, okay. I just want to make sure we're in the same boat because if they don't show it, is it going to be detrimental to the game? No, I just think for the people that stuck out since last year to want to see exactly what's happening with that single player and what to expect from that single player. I just think that's kind of the reason that the game is in the situation it's in, and if they want to kind of ease people's minds on that a little bit, just show something around that single player, not just a cinematic screen. I mean, granted, that cinematic they showed was great. It was pulling heartstrings. It reminded me of Halo 2 and all that other stuff, and it was great. But I need to see, like you said during that multiplayer stream, Slow-Mo, I need to see behind the camera, over the show. I need to see the game.
Right. I want to see the kind of like the setup of the reveal they did last year,
exactly,
but look better. That's what I want to see.
And that's all I need to see.
But I don't think they're going to do that.
They kind of need to restart their marketing campaign. You think about all the stuff they had ready, like all those different ads. They had the monster cans of Master Chief, and all that kind of went to waste. So they kind of need to restart some of their marketing material, which I'm pretty sure they're gonna do. 3 for 3 is definitely gonna do some interesting stuff going up to the launch. And I think at this Gamescom event, there is a lot of games we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen Bright Memory for a bit. We haven't seen Crossfire X. We haven't seen,
and that's actually supposed to come out this year. Yeah,
Yep,
Bright
Scorn's
Bright
supposed to be
Memory
out this
and
year.
Crossfire X are 2 games that are supposed to be coming out this year. We haven't seen anything from them so
And
far.
Scorn, yeah, that was supposed to be out this year.
Yeah,
So I think those are some games we'll probably get updates on because they were announced before E3 and we haven't heard anything. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see.
What do you think about 3-bit? What do you think about Avowed?
For Gamescom,
Yeah, you think we'll see anything about that?
I'm not sure. That's a good one.
Because
I think so.
I'm zeroing in on games that their first party studios have already Xbox Game Studios has already announced, but weren't at E3. Because if you look at what they said, that seems to be exactly what we're going to get. So no new announcements. So we're not going to see Compulsion's game because that hasn't been revealed yet. That would be a brand new game. But we could see a game that wasn't at E3. So like that wouldn't be Age of Empires 4. That wouldn't be Contraband. But it could be IO Interactive's Dragon game that we heard that they're doing. So that could be actually no, that hasn't been announced yet. So that wouldn't be there either. Right. So like we can kind of narrow down what to expect. And I'm thinking we might see something from either Fable, Avowed.
Okay, I'm thinking about Avowed, and I know Obsidian, they're very good at releasing games very fast. Like they're very good at that. I am wondering what games they're working on. I feel like they have so many projects, Obsidian, right now. What are some of the things they're working on? I know they're still working on Grounded,
Avowed.
and I feel like there's like
and the Outer Worlds 2 that they just announced.
Outer Worlds, okay. Yeah, Outer Worlds 2. Oh yeah, but that was at E3. So yeah, I guess Avowed is possible. I didn't even really think about it. I don't know what the state of the game is or how long they've been working on it or any of that. That would give me like clearer indication if that's definitely going to be there or not. But I know for sure we have not seen a lot of Scorn or Crossfire X or Bright Memory.
You said we haven't seen a lot of Scorn?
Scorn.
Yeah.
Oh, Scorn. Oh yeah, Scorn. Man, we seen too much of that game.
It's been a minute. That game is
that game's gonna be. There was a demo for that game. I forgot we actually played a demo
years ago.
Yeah, there was a demo of that game that didn't they show like a demo recently of it playing on the Xbox?
I think they did.
Yeah, there was a first
like
demo,
a 17-minute demo.
There was a second one, yeah.
Oh, Slackrow, thank you. Yeah, State of Decay 2. I mean, State of Decay 3. So the Slackrow, shout out to him in the chat. He said that State of Decay 3 is a possibility, which is a game that's already been announced. It was announced 2 years ago. No, sorry, last year. Last year it was announced, and it wasn't at this year's E3. So that could be a game that they could be actually, because all they showed us was like a very pretty looking Blur Studio kind of trailer that the game ain't gonna look like at all. But
you want to know what I think gonna be a surprise that's gonna be inside of Game Pass this year?
What's that?
I think Aliens Fire Team is gonna be in there.
I thought it already was. It's not.
It's not. No,
are you
it's not a game. That's not a Game Pass game.
Why did I think that?
I mean, dang. I mean, that would make sense. It seems like a Game Pass game.
I think that game will be a Game Pass game, and I have that game paid off somewhere. So I actually have paid for it already. And I was just thinking about when they delayed it, because it was supposed to come when what game was that got delayed that was coming out earlier? I forget. When Kana got delayed, they delayed Aliens Fire Team to September. Because it was supposed to come out right before Gamescom, and then they delayed it. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially with Xbox's direction, especially around multiplayer and co-op games, to try to get something like this inside the Game Pass day and date when it releases in early September. It'll be right around the corner from Gamescom too.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a good point. I think it does seem like a Game Pass game for sure, but State of Decay is a good one.
It's very similar in regards to the demographic is going for like Back 4 Blood. Back 4 Blood is also a game that's kind of like going for that kind of demographic, and I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, Gamescom is gonna be pretty cool. I think it's gonna be smaller announcements. Maybe we will get some gameplay of Crossfire X. Hopefully, I don't know what's going on with that game.
I kind of feel like it's gonna get delayed again. Honestly, like I don't know what the holdup is. I feel like his remedy
so much.
the holdup has gotta be Remedy with the campaign, because it's not their game, it's not their engine that they're using. This is Smilegate's Entertainment's engine, their game. That, like, for those who don't know, Crossfire X has been out in Korea for like forever. So that game's been out. Like, of course, it's getting a visual facelift, but that shouldn't be that too difficult for a studio. Smilegate Entertainment's like 1,000 developers. That's a very, very big studio in South Korea. So that shouldn't take them so long, where they would be the holdup. The game's never had a campaign, so I think Remedy is the issue.
I was talking to Mav about this, and I was saying, like, maybe Remedy's campaign was so good that it embarrassed the multiplayer, and they needed to like rework the multiplayer to sort of make it so it's not such a huge difference in comparison. That's my theory.
Well, this
that
is
would
a
be
first-person
terrible.
shooter. Remedy has never, like, I don't know how this is like working internally, like as far as this development. So like Remedy's never did a first-person shooter before. Like you take Alan Wake, you take Quantic Break. I was about to say Quantic Dream. Good grief, Quantum Break.
Quantic Break.
Quantic
Break. Quantic Break. New studio, new stuff.
Quantum Break and Control, they're all action adventure, third person perspective kind of games. It's not first person. So not saying that you can't do that. Of course, we've seen studios go out of their wheelhouse and nail it before, but I would think that would be some kind of adjustment for them. I see Beast Mode in the chat thinks the single player is done, but the multiplayer is holding it up. But I mean, I don't see how that's the case. With Smilegate, he's been doing the multiplayer for years.
They embarrassed them. Its campaign's probably so good, and then they're like, the multiplayer's like, oh shoot, we got to change some things. Oh man,
because Remedy said there. Okay, Beast Mode, I'll look that up. Because I haven't seen Remedy make any like statements about their work on Crossfire X yet, but I'll definitely look that up and see what they're saying. If they're saying that their part is done, hey, maybe because they haven't worked on first person shooters before, that they did the story, maybe did the cutscenes, and then Smilegate is actually still doing the gameplay. You know, cause like they don't do story, and Remedy's very good at story, so like they actually working with Remedy to get that portion done, but they're not really actually like doing the programming or the actual gameplay and stuff like that. I don't know.
Like, when you think about Remedy, you think about like physics and things flying everywhere. And I kind of saw that in the trailer, so I don't think so. I think they're working on like most of it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll definitely see. That's
my theory, anyway.
But yeah, they gotta give us some kind of update, because like if we go past Gamescom and we still haven't heard anything about Crossfire X, like I said, it ain't coming out this year. Like I said it last year because it was supposed to come out last year and we weren't hearing anything, and I'm just like, yo, it's getting really, really close to the holiday season and we still haven't heard anything yet. It's not coming out this year. And then not too long after that, we got the announcement it was delayed to 2021. It seems similar so far. And if we go past Gamescom and there's still no announcement,
still says this year, dude. So I don't know. It's been a bit. I think those two games are definitely going to get delayed. In Bright Memory, we haven't seen gameplay of in a while too. So
yeah, and that one's was initially started by one developer. Now he has like 24 other like a 24 staff helping him. Yeah, he has some staff helping him now to make that game. But like, yeah, that's less than 30 people. Like that can get delayed too easily. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I think that is about it. You know, I think that we've exhausted all the topics at 3-bit. glad to have you with us on DPS podcast, man. Let the good people out there know where to find you. I did put all of your YouTube channel and your Twitter link in the description of the podcast. So if you guys want to follow 3-Bit and follow his channel, definitely look at the description. Click that, subscribe, and follow him on Twitter and YouTube. But outside of that, let everyone know where to find you, man.
For sure. Thanks for the invite, dude. It's been a fun show, Forte. It's been a pleasure, man.
Absolutely.
Everyone in the chat, you guys are awesome. You guys had awesome topics that we occasionally looked at, and just it kept the conversation flowing too. So you guys are awesome. You guys can find me on Twitter at the VGHD. My YouTube channel is the Video Games HD. I'm starting to post more dev stuff, like just more animations and modeling stuff on my Twitter more so than my channel. So if you're just interested in that stuff or hearing me ramble about nonsense, then you guys can just find me on there. I'm on 2 shows. I'm on Xbox Ultimate every Friday with the Magnificent Seven, Mav, Kate, Lady, Psychonauts, and Assassin Lupa, and whoever else I may have forgotten. Love you guys, Pong. And then I'm on Xbox Factor every Tuesday with Mr. Boomstick. So you guys can find me on those shows. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
Awesome. Forte.
Yo. Man.
Outro, bro.
Man, yo. This was a great show. Slow-mo, your dedication to making sure we stay on point was legendary. It's one of the best shows I've ever been a part of, and that's anybody's podcast. So I appreciate the work you put into it, and 3-Bit is always great to be on a podcast with you, man. Your knowledge and everything that you bring to the table is second to none, and definitely can't wait to have you back on here at a later date. But for myself, Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, and PlayStation. Check out episode 47. I will remember that it's 47 next week.
I thought you were about to say 46 next week. No, episode 46.
I almost did with 46. 47 next week on my channel. Guests to be named if we have any at a later time. But yeah, man, I really appreciate this. And
you got any videos coming out, sir?
Actually, I have a couple of them. I have part of the reason I started playing Hellblade is do a comparison. I have a new laptop. I have my PC. I have an Xbox Series S. Why not compare the reasons that all systems are actually viable and the differences you see to date on these systems? So I'm doing a not no analysis or anything, but just pretty much just breaking down like kind of some of the little differences when it comes to the graphical fidelities that they have on the different systems. I'm also doing that for the Ascent. So I'm doing that with a bunch of games that are on basically Game Pass on Xbox and on PC. Who we wish it was on PlayStation. That'd be something. But yeah, I'm doing stuff like that. And then shout out to everybody that came through the Destiny stream. It was brutal. Slow-mo came through and was telling me I was a failure.
I did not say that.
He said we wasn't gonna make this happen.
I did say what y'all was doing was a waste of time, but I didn't call you a failure.
It definitely was definitely a waste of time because we definitely stayed up to 5:30 in the morning trying to do it and it didn't happen. But
are you serious?
Oh yeah, well I got it the next morning. I just woke up at 9:30 in the morning.
5:30 in the morning, and you still didn't. No, there's no
5:30 in the morning. Still didn't get it done. But guess what? Your boy jumped on LFG on PC. Within 10 minutes, it was done. Crazy, ain't it? Shout out to the PC Master Race.
Shout out to PC.
Shout out to the PC Master Race when you need stuff done.
Everborn Saga is in the chat banging on his desk right now, hearing that the PC community helped you out when the console community were basically couldn't walk and talk at the same time.
Oh no, I ain't gonna say that. Shout out to the clan. Shout out to the Iron Lords clan, man. We still get it in, but it was a little late. Everybody was a little sleepy, but we got it done. But yeah, Slow-mo, yeah, appreciate it. Good show, and I will see you on Scumcast tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. And then Brap next. Is it tomorrow? Oh, 2 days. I'm thinking it's Friday. It's Friday. It's not Friday yet. It's not Friday yet.
A nap.
It's Saturday.
You
It's not
need
Friday yet. We'll see you guys on Scumcast on Saturday. Jesus Christ. And then
he's not gonna get
Brad
it right, man.
Podcast.
On Thursday? Is that where Brad is
Nope.
on?
No, Brad can't be on Thursday because we're on Thursday. That's our spot.
Right. I'm trying.
We
I'm
own
trying
that
to help
spot.
You, bro. I'm just trying to help.
All right, y'all have a good week. I'm gonna shut up before someone makes more fun of me.
No
Did
problem,
After His
man.
Passion just donate?
Yes, he did. I did want to get that. Shout out to After His Passion for the $10 super chat. Didn't say anything, just wanted to give us a super chat. I appreciate that, man. Always enjoy seeing you and your funny jokes and super chats in the chat, man. Hope you're having a great night. As for me, come check out my Twitch channel. I am doing a lot of streaming of the games that I play. And look, y'all know I play a lot of games. I try a lot of stuff out, and I've decided, well, why not show me experiencing all of these different games that I have interest in on Twitch. So that's what I'm doing. I got the my Twitch channel in the description. Come follow it so you can get the notifications when I go live. I think I've never actually played Psychonauts before. And so before Psychonauts 2 comes out, I think I'm gonna go ahead and play Psychonauts 1 to see if I even want to play Psychonauts 2. So I might do that. Like tomorrow's probably a bust for me because of work, but Saturday I think will be likely when I'll get that started. So come through for that. I'm still working on the videos that I'm working on. I'm a little bit of change of pace with the kind of content that I've been doing. And when those go live, just be prepared for a video that's well over 20-30 minutes long. So yeah, all that said, I appreciate everyone for coming through. 3-bit, definitely glad to have you, and I've been meaning to get you on for a minute. I was just like, ever since you came on Scumcast, I was like, man, I gotta get 3-bit on DPS, man. This guy just,
I get it.
yeah, I guess guy had to do it. So like, glad to have you in, Forte, as usual. It's always a pleasure. And you guys out there in the chat that's listening, play your games and enjoy them, and have a good night, man. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.
And we're done.